All right, everybody, what's going on? Welcome to a surprise impromptu edition of SWAC Talk, the show we cover the SWAC inside and out. As usual, I'm your tour guide, C. Wells, coming at you. And I just wanted to pop in and do an update on the standings because we are at the final game of the regular season in basketball. SWAC tournament starts on Wednesday. There's been a lot of movement around. There's still some scenarios that can take place, but things are pretty much settled as probably as much as they can be at this point. It's going to come down to the last day and tiebreakers and all kind of stuff to figure all of this out. So wanted to go ahead and hop in here and throw this on here. This will be my last attempt at this because, like I said, the final game are Saturday, and then we'll know where we stand on Sunday, and tournament starts on Wednesday. So with that being said, as you can see, the socials on the screen down below as usual. Facebook is SWAC Talk, Instagram SWAC Talk, Twitter SWAC Talk 76, email swagtalk76@gmail.com. And also I have the cash app of the $ SWAC Talk if you would like to show the show a little bit of love. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already, man. You know, this is the place to be. And if you hit that notification bell, you'll be alerted to videos like this when I drop a video that's unexpected. So hit that notification bell, get that alert, and then, you know, you'll be all good to go. Like the videos, share them, and feel free to comment. Let me know what you're thinking about this season and, you know, how things are going and how things are going to go as we head into the tournament. So I'm not going to waste no time, man. Like I said, I'm going to try to keep this as short as I possibly can. I know I'm not that, I know I'm pretty long-winded sometimes. So I'm going to try to keep this as brief as I can because I want to go back and enjoy my Friday night. But let's go ahead and start with the women. Obviously, we know JSU is number one. They're 17-0. Alabama A&M and Alabama State are tied right now at 12-5. Southern is 11-6. TSU is also 11-6. Grambling is 9-8. Prairie View is 9-8, and Pine Bluff is 8-9. Bethune-Cookman and FAMU are both 4-13, and Valley is 2-15. Alcorn is 3-14. So those last 4 teams are out. Like I said last week, Wednesday, we already know our 8 teams for the women. It's just shuffling the seeding. So right now, if the tournament started today, JSU had a number 1 seed. Alabama A&M would be 2. Alabama State would be 3. Southern would be 4. TSU would be 5. PV would be 6. Grambling would be 7. And Pine Bluff would be 8. So I just wanted to kind of go through a couple of scenarios. If this team won, what would happen? If this team lost, what would happen? And just see where we stand after Saturday's games if these things were to take place. So the first scenario I wanted to do is basically a status quo type of thing. Alabama A&M, Alabama State, Texas Southern, and Pine Bluff all win. Obviously, JSU is number 1. Alabama A&M would be the 2 seed. Alabama State would be 3 seed due to tiebreakers. Alabama A&M swept Alabama State. TSU would be the 4 seed over Southern. Southern would be the 5 seed. Southern would be the 5 seed. Pine Bluff would move up to 6 by virtue of tiebreakers. Prairie View would be 7 and Grambling would be 8. If Pine Bluff, if all those teams lost and Pine Bluff still won, so if Alabama A&M, Alabama State, and TSU all lost, but Pine Bluff still won, then that would if Pine Bluff lost, that would make JSU obviously 1 seed. Alabama A&M would be the 2 seed. Southern would be 3 seed. Alabama State would be 4. Texas Southern would be 5. Grambling would be 6. Prairie View would be 7, and Pine Bluff would be 8. So that's pretty much where we stand on that. Now, if Alabama A&M won, Alabama State lost, and TSU won, then JSU would still be number 1. Obviously, every scenario, JSU is number 1, but I still like to say it. Alabama A&M would be 2. Texas Southern would be 3. Alabama State would be 4. Southern would be 5. Grambling would be 6. Prairie View would be 7. And Pine Bluff would be 8. If Pine Bluff was to win their game, then that would flip these teams. Pine Bluff would be 6. Prairie View would be 7. And Grambling would be 8. Now, if Texas Southern lost and Alabama A&M won and Alabama State lost, then again, JSU would be 1. Alabama A&M would be 2. Alabama State would be 3. Southern would be 4. TSU would be 5. Grambling would be 6. Prairie View would be 7. And Pine Bluff would be 8. Again, if Pine Bluff was to pick up a victory over Alcorn, Then you would go 6 Pine Bluff, 7 Prairie View, 8 Grambling. If Alabama A&M lost to Southern, Alabama State beat Grambling, and Texas Southern lost to Prairie View, then it would look like this. Jackson State would be 1, Alabama State would be 2, Southern would be 3, Texas Southern would be 4, Alabama A&M would be 5, Prairie View would be 6, Grambling would be 7, and Pine Bluff would be 8. Now, if Pine Bluff was to win their game, then obviously again it'd be 6, 7, and 8. Pine Bluff, Prairie View, and Grambling. If TSU won their game and Alabama A&M lost and Alabama State won, then it would be JSU 1, Alabama State 2, Southern 3, Alabama A&M 4, TSU 5. That's due to tiebreakers. Prairie View 6, Grambling 7, and Pine Bluff 8. Again, if Pine Bluff won and those other teams finished the same way that they did in the previous scenario, Pine Bluff 6, Prairie View 7, Grambling 8. So looking at where we stand, there's not a lot of room for movement for most teams. You know, most teams are kind of locked into a block. There's not going to be too much crazy jumping up or falling down. JSU obviously they're the SWAC regular season champs, so they can't move. They number one throughout. Hopefully they can get above a 50. Hopefully they can pull a 15 seed if they win the tournament. We'll see what happens, but you know, like they say, anything can happen on any given day, especially in a tournament situation. But JSU is number 1 regardless. Alabama A&M could finish as high as 2 or as low as 5. So they have a few spots that they can move around, but they can't finish lower than 5. Alabama State also 2 as their high, 5 as their low. Southern can finish as high as 3 and low as 5. TSU can finish as high as 3 and low as 5. So basically, Alabama A&M, Alabama State, Southern, and TSU are all your 2, 3, 4, and 5 seeds. How they shuffle up is going to depend on those games. That's going to depend on Alabama State, Grambling, Alabama A&M, Southern, and TSU and Prairie View. Those games on Saturday. So those 3 games are huge for the standings. So that will, really undo that log jam or shuffle those cards up a little bit and move some teams around. So all those teams can finish as low as 5. The 2 Alabama schools can finish as high as 2, and the 2 Louisiana Texas teams can finish as high as 3. So there's still some good movement. Now, if we still had a situation where the tournament was played the first round at home sites, then finishing in that top 4 would definitely have been very important because the top 4 got you a home game. That's not the case anymore with the tournament being back in Birmingham all the way. So, it's not that big of a difference to be 5 or 4. You don't have to take a road trip. You play in a neutral site. You just wearing a different uniform. So that part is not that important, but you still want to finish as high as you can. That's just the way, things go. Grambling can finish as high as 6 and as low as 8. Pine Bluff can finish as high as 6 and as low as 7. So they kind of locked into a certain area. And Pine Bluff can move up to 6 or they can finish 8. So not a lot of wiggle room. Like I said, that 4-team jumble right there is probably like the biggest thing that has to be solved. The other things are going to kind of work themselves out, kind of dependent on those games. So those 3 games have a huge effect on all of the standings from 2 to 8. So we'll see, how that happens. But we do know our 8 teams, and we know who number 1 is. And we know, who number 8 potentially could be, but everything else is, a jumble, but not a lot of tiebreakers and things that have to be involved because it's pretty cut and dry. So let's take a look at the men's standings. Alcorn is your regular season champ. They clinched at least a share of the championship when they beat Valley on Thursday, when they beat Valley on Thursday. So they're 13-4 right now. They followed by TSU, who is 12-5, Southern, who is 11-6. FAMU and Alabama A&M are tied at 10-7. Grambling is 9-8. JSU is 8-9. Prairie View is 8-9. Then you have Bethune-Cookman and Alabama State both at 7-10. They have slim hopes of getting in. It's going to take some things to go their way. Win and somebody loses. If either one of those teams, if they win and JSU loses, then you have a better opportunity to get in. Or if Prairie View loses and they win, so they pretty much have to win to give themselves any shot. Those last 2 teams. Pine Bluff is 5 and 12, they're out, and Valley is 2 and 15, they're out. So if the tournament started today, Alcorn will be your 1 seed, and they will be the 1 seed in every scenario that they have on that I have. Even if they were to drop their last game, they still would be first by virtue of tiebreakers. TSU would be second, Southern would be third, FAMU would be fourth, Alabama A&M would be fifth, Grambling would be sixth, JSU would be seventh, and Prairie View would be eighth. So let's take the easiest route first. If Texas Southern, FAMU, Grambling, and JSU all won, you're looking at a setup as Alcorn as 1, TSU as 2, Southern at 3, FAMU at 4. Grambling moves up to 5. Alabama A&M is 6. Like I said, that's a tiebreaker. Grambling holds a tiebreaker over Alabama A&M. So if they finish tied, then Grambling would move ahead. So Grambling is 5, Alabama A&M is 6, JSU is 7, and Prairie View is 8. Let's take a look at if, let's say Texas Southern, FAMU, Grambling, and JSU all lost. This is where you get a little bit interesting. Alcorn again 1, TSU is 2, Southern is 3, and Alabama A&M is 4. Now there's an important distinction to make at this point. These two teams have to play each other. Southern beat Alabama A&M by 9 points. If Alabama A&M beat Southern, then that series would be 1-1, and the second tiebreaker in a head-to-head tie is point differential. Southern beat Alabama A&M by 9 points, so Alabama A&M would have to beat them by 10 or more to get to win that tiebreaker. So if Southern loses by 8, then they get that tiebreaker. If Alabama A&M wins by 10 plus, then they get that tiebreaker. So just for the sake of where we at right now, I just kept Southern at 3 and Alabama A&M at 4, but that can move depending on how that game turns out on Saturday. FAMU is number 5, Grambling is 6, Prairie View is 7, and then Alabama State gets in if they beat Grambling and JSU loses to Valley, which we don't know, but Alabama State would be in at that point. So that's one avenue for the Hornets to get in. If JSU won and TSU, Southern, FAMU, and Grambling lost, then it would look like this. Alcorn 1, TSU 2, Southern 3, Alabama A&M 4. Again, that can flip depending on the margin of victory of the Southern Alabama A&M game. 5, FAMU, 6, Grambling, 7, JSU, 8, Prairie View. And the last one I have, because I didn't really want to go too crazy with this. If TSU, FAMU, and Grambling lost, and then Southern and JSU won, then you looking at Alcorn at 1, Southern will move up to 2, TSU would be 3, FAMU would be 4, Alabama A&M would be 5, GSU would be 6, JSU would be 7, and Prairie View would be 8. If JSU lost that game and all the other results stayed the same, then you would have Alcorn at 1, Southern at 2, TSU at 3, FAMU would be 4, Alabama A&M would be 5, Grambling would be 6, Prairie View would be 7, and then Alabama State again would get in at 8. I couldn't find a scenario where Bethune-Cookman would get in. They don't hold many tiebreakers, so my push to get Bethune-Cookman into the tournament is probably going to be fruitless. First and foremost, it starts with a win over FAMU, and then I don't see anything else working their way to get them in unless it's like a 4-way tie. I think if it's like a 4-way tie at 8 and 10, I think they may be able to get in, but that's pretty much the only way it would go. Anything else, they lose out. So we are pretty much entrenched. So I would say 9 teams have a legit shot at the tournament. Like I said, it would take some chaos to get Bethune-Cookman in, but 9 teams have a legit shot. If you looked at where these teams are and where they can finish, Alcorn's your regular season champ, and they also had an NIT berth in their back pocket, so they're number 1. They get the top seed. TSU can finish as high as 2 and as low as 3. Southern can finish as high as 2 and low as 4. Alabama A&M can finish as high as 4 and low as 6. FAMU can finish as high as 4 or low as 5, so they pretty much locked into where they're at. There's not a lot of movement for them. Just like the top 3, 2 of the top 3 teams, they can't really move that much. Alabama A&M can only move a couple slots. Grambling can jump up to 5, or they can stay at 6. Not a lot of movement for them. Prairie View can be 7 or 8, And then JSU can either finish as high as 7 or they can finish out. Alabama State can finish as high as in the tournament at 8 or out the tournament. And then Bethune-Cookman, like I said, unless there are some huge tiebreakers that take place and you know, all this chaos, Bethune-Cookman probably can't make it in. So looking at the schedule for Saturday, these are double hitters, men and women basketball. Alabama A&M hosts Southern. Alabama A&M hosts Grambling. Prairie View is at TSU. Bethune-Cookman is at FAMU. Jackson hosts Valley, and Pine Bluff is at Alcorn. So those are the 6 games that are remaining on the schedule. Again, like I said, the season starts. The season ends Saturday. The tournament starts on Wednesday, March 9th in Birmingham. I will have a tournament preview on Tuesday. I won't do a show on Wednesday. Tournament. I want to watch the tournament or whatever. But I'm gonna do my show on Tuesday instead. And I will preview the tournament, men and women tournament. I'm gonna break down. I'm gonna pick winners for all rounds and pick a champ, and then I'm gonna see at the end how right or wrong I was. So that's pretty much the show. Again, like I said, we had a great SWAC smoke yesterday. My homeboy Jamie G filled in for DJ. So we'll be back live again with SWAC Smoke. DJ will be in the house on Thursday next week. Like I said, Sunday it's gonna be our usual recap of Saturday games. Tuesday tournament preview. Thursday live SWAC Smoke, and then Sunday we'll wrap up the tournament. And from there, we'll look at Selection Sunday on probably that next Wednesday and see where we stand or how things are gonna go, who gets in and who missed out. So that's pretty much where we stand at this point and where we're going. So that's gonna do it for me, man. Like I said, I just want to hop in and do a little update on the standings. And now I'm done melting my brain. So y'all enjoy y'all weekend. Enjoy these games on Saturday, and I'll see you guys on Sunday with our Saturday recaps. Again, this is your tour guy C-Wells stopping the bus, letting y'all out, and I'll holler at y'all on the rebound. Peace.